Hey everyone, I'm Tassenix, and welcome to a Plotting and Scheming Extra. We are covering the new kit for Hunter Mercenary. I am here joined by most of the regular cast. It is Dagger, TJ, and Sasha Aisha. Fatal can't be with us today. But gentlemen, pleasure to be with you again to look at another kit. How's everything going, guys?
Yeah. Goes.
Doing okay.
Yeah,
Doing
it's
all
all
right.
right.
Okay, that's a resounding I'm not dead yet, and I echo that thought. Good
Right.
stuff.
Right.
Well, all right, let's get right into it. Hunter Mercenary alignment is light side. Categories support, Bad Batch, and Mercenary. So not built out like an attacker. Interesting. Okay. By the way,
Well, they
if
did.
you
They did make a point to say that they wanted him to kind of feel like an attacker, like the
Right.
old Hunter.
okay, yeah. I mean, we'll see because it seems like he has an interesting kit for that theme. So I think you're on to something there. All right, if you hadn't seen it previously, we did make a video on the new Fugitive Omega kit, and that would be the leader for this new character. So check that out. So we won't cover that leadership here. But the key attributes from the devs are he is a key member of the new Bad Batch squad who supports his team via marking enemies. He has synergy with mercenaries through his Soldier of Fortune ability. So he could be combined with like a Dash lead with a Balin lead, maybe. Use Hunter efficiently to access his most powerful weapon, the Electric Staff. Hunter's Marked allows the Bad Batch squad to focus on a single enemy to gain stacks of target practice easily. We'll skip about the inspiration here. The strategy tips, though. His unique provides multiple opportunities to utilize Marked and benefit his team. Gain target practice stacks to reduce the cooldown of Special 2, which is Hunter's big move. His Omicron, which is for TW, I believe, only, doubles down on cooldown reduction, making Special 2 more common. And Hunter marks enemies, which allows his team to get various benefits such as more offense and speed up, while reducing enemies' defense and inflicting them with offense down. All right, abilities. Let's start with, the second unique, Soldier of Fortune. Final text. Whenever a marked enemy is damaged by a mercenary ally, Hunter gains a stack of Soldier of Fortune. Whenever marked is dispelled or expires, Hunter loses 5 stacks of Soldier of Fortune. At the start of their turn, each mercenary ally gains 3% accuracy for each stack of Soldier of Fortune that they have until the start of their next turn. Okay, so I don't know. I don't know what you guys think. I feel like it would be a pretty mediocre choice just off that benefit for Balin, but obviously there's a lot of kit to go. We'll see. Unique 1, Focused Cooperation, Omicron plus Zeta. Final text. At the start of the encounter, all Bad Batch allies gain 50% max protection. Whenever an enemy is marked, all Bad Batch allies recover 7% health. Whenever a marked enemy is damaged by a Bad Batch ally, if the ally with lowest turn meter is Bad Batch, they gain speed up for 1 turn. Whenever marked expires on an enemy, inflict daze and healing immunity on them for 1 turn. At the start of the marked enemy's turn, inflict offense down on them for 1 turn, which can't be evaded. Whenever a marked enemy is defeated, expose all enemies for 2 turns and reduce the cooldown of This Will Hurt by 5. All right, so yeah, this is one of those novel abilities. We've been getting a lot of these last few months. Next part of this unique. If Hunter has 15 or more stacks of target practice, he gains a bonus turn when marked expires on enemies. Whenever Hunter gains a stack of target practice, reduce the cooldown of This Will Hurt by 1. While Hunter has 40 or more stacks of Soldier of Fortune, enemies are inflicted with buff immunity for 1 turn whenever their buffs are dispelled. When a Bad Batch ally loses captive, reset the cooldown of This Will Hurt. While in territory wars, we won't cover because that's beyond the scope of our show usually. We're GAC focused, but Yeah, more good stuff for this will hurt, it would seem, which already seems like it's getting a lot of help. So neat. All right, yeah, that's a lot to process. We'll think about that. All right, up to the basic. DC 17 Blaster. Final text. Deal physical damage to target enemy and inflict speed down on them for 1 turn. During Hunter's turn, call a random Bad Batch attacker ally to assist, and all attacker allies gain critical chance up for 1 turn. So the only Bad Batch that we know is an attacker so far, I think, is Batcher, right? So we have 2 supports and an attacker known to us now. Of
I
course,
think that's
we
correct.
expect Wrecker would still be a tank, and then yeah, right, we would have
Crosshair will be an
Crosshair,
attack.
definitely an attacker. Yeah. Okay, it's all coming together now. So anyway, yeah, during Hunter's turn, call a random Bad Batch attacker ally to assist, and all attacker allies gain critical chance up for 1 turn. If the target enemy is marked, all Bad Batch attacker allies gain 5% offense, stacking max 50% until the end of the encounter, and have their defense reduced by 5%, stacking max 50%, which can't be resisted until the end of the encounter. That's a lot for a basic. All right. Special 1. Take a shot. Cooldown 2. Final text. If no enemies are marked, inflict marked on the target enemy for 2 turns, which can't be evaded or resisted. All Bad Batch allies gain offense up and protection up 50% for 1 turn. Call all Bad Batch attacker allies to assist, dealing 30% less damage. So wait, there's a mass assist on the basic if the enemy's marked. You got a special doing a mass assist. That's pretty damn good. Okay. Special 2. This will hurt. Cooldown of 30. Final text. Deal physical damage to target enemy equal to 100% of their maximum health. Increase to 200% if they are marked, which can't be evaded. Shock all enemies for 2 turns, which can't be evaded, and inflict protection disruption on them for 3 turns, which can't be evaded or resisted. Bad Batch allies gain 100% defense penetration stacking until the end of the encounter. This ability starts on cooldown.
This is very much like a seer style of nuke. So
Yes.
unclear on how much damage it'll actually do because seer's big lightsaber throw has seemed pretty underwhelming for the most part. Because you can kind of like kid around it as you're going in against them. So I'm curious to see how this actually plays out.
Yeah, I agree.
The
Tough to
only
say.
thing, though, the only thing I'm going to add, though, and I know we'll talk about it, is the one nice thing. So I'll take Dagger's point on Seer, and hers is she's also pretty damn slow, even with the ramping. This guy is fast, so we don't know the other pieces of the puzzle on how fast they can really get this will hurt to kind of ramp up. And if they'll be like, go, all right, to reset, go again type situation. With him being that fast, I'm hoping what it'll do is I'll take Dagger's seer move, but maybe it goes boom, boom, boom. And if it does something along those lines, because the team already feels pretty strong. So seeing that and him being fast, and he does feel like a big support unit, like in the background, trying to make things move. I'd be interested to see how that's all going to play a part.
Yeah, I'm more interested. Like, so for example, how fast is his ability coming online?
Yeah,
Because in the marquee, like, granted, I autoed it. Like, I don't think he did this once.
I do think there is. I think it could be the same thing, just like how Fugitive plays, right? She's not using that reset, and her reset is game breaking on what it can do for like Nihilus and other things as far as how it ramps off.
Oh yeah,
So I agree with you. Watching the AI is makes you want to drag your face across the ground because, but I think they're doing it on purpose for how strong the team really is. And him being, I want to say, I don't know, it was like 192 base speed. I was seeing 370s, 380s is where he could be at. So this dude is flying, and like other things, and how it feels eerily like the other hunter, it's just a piece of the puzzle. Batcher's awesome. And if they're calling Batcher to assist, the dude's already going a ton. Seeing the offense build into him, that's cool. It just gives me hope.
He's going to go and he's going to use his take a shot. And then he's going to start reducing the cooldown of this will hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll see how fast that happens. I mean, if Omega targets him, it'll reset it, obviously, but the AI won't do that. See, I'm thinking about how the AI will work. This team is going to be fine in your hands the same way most teams will be. So I'm just thinking of how this is going to interact on defense, because take a shot's on a 2-turn cooldown, so he goes second, first, second. And then the question is, will the AI prioritize this will hurt over the first special?
Yeah, and not seeing the other two and what they're going to do. I'm going to keep my hope that when we see the 5th, he's the new Bad Batch Echo of the team. That makes it go, aha, and it's just an amazing overall. I will say I saw Tash, you fight them, and JC, so you've got to see what it's going to feel like. I'm sure, Sasha, you'll have your piece of what you're seeing. It still doesn't feel too bad on just original Bad Batch. It feels the annoying part, which is good to see, without the full picture.
Well, I think, I was just checking while you guys were chatting, and nothing that I've seen so far in this new team's kit suggests that we can ignore taunt. So, it's important that we see...
Batcher can do that. He can ignore to put marked on.
Okay, so he can be the one to kick us off.
Now you're going to maybe go, look, it's like, he can, if I'm not mistaken, and I know, Fatal, I know there's something about him being able to ignore. Yeah, he just made it in. I would go back
she
to
ignores
Batcher.
taunt and stealth during her turn.
Yeah.
I don't see a mark.
Well, I guess
should go to apply mark.
I guess TJ's point is like a backdoor way to what I was saying.
Yeah. No, here it is. Piercing Howl. All Bad Batch allies gain 30% offense for 2 turns. Dispel all buffs and inflict marked. So that'll be the Hunter buff immunity as well being inflicted.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I know. We've been
buff immunity
so
and
that's
marked.
okay. So that's how we set him up to start doing the marked. Okay. Well, then that answers the question.
So it looks like you want. If with this small team, it looks like you will want Batcher to go. But the other thing is Hunter inflicts marked as well. So like.
Tons of marked.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Well, the thing is clearly he can do marked a couple different ways. The issue is, do we get the discretion to mark who we want? And so far, to TJ's point, we see that Batcher can create space for him to start going after a priority target, which, back to your point, you can conceive of how he would very quickly get this will hurt off cooldown, if that's the case.
Yeah, I mean, my impression, pretty limited knowledge, and not really having just read through the kit once, sort of in combination with the rest of the pieces I've seen, it feels like there's very much the opportunity for this to punch high. But sort of my first gut reaction is, whoa, there is a meaningful amount of complexity in how this would most likely be optimally played, which means tons of opportunity for AI to shoot itself in the foot or just to suboptimally
100%.
play.
100% agree.
Yeah. And so, that kind of combined with, and this is very short-term view on it, but, in the current meta, because we don't have, the final piece, we don't have, really sort of probably the key attacker on this. I'm looking at it through the Mercenary Balin lens, and we can eventually get to the Datacron aspect of it. But his kit reads as interesting in a few ways, but there's a lot of unutilized text there when he's sitting with Balin. So I'm guessing it's going to be a kick-ass offense. And perhaps a bungling defense, unless there's a way to really tighten it up with either modding, I don't know, something along those lines.
Fair enough. Fatal, glad you were able to join us. What do you got? What do you got on this? We just finished reading over the kit. I'm sure this wouldn't be your first pass at looking it over, but if you wanted me to hit up an ability, we can. Otherwise, what do you think? What do you think about this early days?
I am fucking conflicted at the moment because I feel like there's a lot riding on the last two kits at the moment.
Oh
That
yeah.
I am not convinced by the new badge yet. But I like right. It's like we talk about stuff like. So I've actually been using Bad Batch. I know, like last week was kind of a nothing burger for me, but my one takeaway is, hey, Bad Batch actually have like a decently legitimate usage right now. The entire basis for that usage requires me to be effective at healing the squad. And with the old batch, right, you've got Echo's unique, you've got all of these buttons that give you huge amounts of healing, and then you look at Fugitive Omega and her lead and her Omicron, and the ways that you can generate bonus turns, and you're specifically interested in topping your people off because you fall below 100% health, you heal them up, you put them at 100% health, you get 4 bonus turns, and then you just set yourself up for, okay, they're going to hit me again. Specifically, if we're talking like a doomed character, for example, you immediately get 4 more bonus turns. And then it's like, okay, so I'm looking at the new batch so far. Batcher doesn't really do it. Hunter gives you 7% health regen for applying Mart, which technically Batcher can contribute to, but is like such a fucking small thing that like. So if I'm looking for signs of life here, I guess all I'm really calling out in Hunter's kit right now is I think CG is being sneaky, and I did look at Echo, and I did confirm that this would count. There's the one clause at the moment, which is whenever a marked enemy is damaged by a Bad Batch ally, the ally with the lowest turn meter is Bad Batch, they gain speed up for 1 turn. If you just had like a slow as hell wrecker, this would mean that he would just constantly get speed up, and it would proc for Echo Unique because I think as long as the person in question is a clone trooper, it counts for them, even if it's not made by a clone trooper, because we're still existing in that sort of whole season 1, season 3 generational weirdness.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think a lot is riding on Crosshair, but I have equally Crosshair is easy to ask questions for because we increasingly get the sense that Crosshair may be the carry for the squad. But I still have just as many questions for Wrecker as well, because assuming that Wrecker will be a tank, there are checks being cashed that the new Bad Batch squad is trying to set up that I don't know. Old Wrecker has some benefits, you know? Old Wrecker effectively doubles his bulk. That if I were in the market for a man to hide behind, new Wrecker will need to sell himself, aside from, you know, he'll get the captor savior. But past that, in a world where you are exploitable, exposable, blah, 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 make me care about you. So, I don't know. I'm not really worried. I'm just like, okay, well, we're 3 kits in, it doesn't really make sense. This was also true for the original Bad Batch, that I'm not panicking yet at this point. I'm just gonna let him continue to roll out and hope it works out. But even if it doesn't work out, the old Bad Batch with Fugitive Omega, it's pretty fun right now, so I'm not too fussed.
I'm definitely not stealing thunder, but I was taking notes. That's all I'm gonna say. And Fatal, I missed your other 2, but man, you had some really good stuff going on. I know it goes somewhere else, but getting to see it live action was cool. I was like literally the meme of the dude flipping open the notebook, watching what it was doing in it. And I got to say, I got to emulate what you did, so to speak, and felt really good.
When Fugitive Omega was first released, and I pointed out the whole bonus turn clause, this is what I was worried about. This is what I had in mind of like that is a clause that usually has some sort of qualifier, like the first time any ally or the first time each ally type shit. This is just uncapped. So, ironically, my R9 Wrecker has come back one more time to grace me. Maybe he should be benched by the end of the season, and we'll see the new Wrecker, and this will be one last ride for him. But there is a funny Wrecker versus Spirit matchup going on right now, and one of my big mod preps for this week is I got to get my Wrecker to come correct.
So can I tell you, Fatal, that my I think R8 Wrecker is doing just as fine. Didn't feel as good. I'm not going to steal thunder, but did feel still okay, and Wrecker still wrecks. And it was not against a nothing burger. But again, I'm not stealing your thunder because I know that you put love into your record, but it's cool that my not your level or say Tash or Dagger or maybe Sasha's still doing it. The average Joe record still holding weight.
I will come with a tale of caution, and if we're talking about looking at the future Bad Batch, this is a specific question I would love to see answered. It was off stream, but I fought against a R8 Spirit with 82% crit damage on the Kron, and my record did succumb to the opening Merit Mass. Now, granted, that was not optimal modding last week, but for my remod this week, as well as for the future record, now that we're talking about the new batch project, I am looking for the answers to the question of, all right, sell me on which wrecker you think will be best CG, because I'm at the market. I'm looking for someone who can maybe handle that job better, but
I don't want to rain on your parade, but I think they're going to do what they've done many times before, is like, we'll offer you this option, and if there's a corner case where you can think of a great spot to gain the specific advantages of this one character's kit, so be it, fine. But we're going to design this whole team such that if you choose to pull this character out, you really are, pulling the teeth off or pulling a leg off. You're taking something indispensable from the core operation of the team.
I for right now, with Batcher and Hunter that we've seen so far, I get the strong feeling that CG is afraid to a degree of Fugitive Omega's lead and the bonus turns that I can generate.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That I don't entirely feel like a Batcher and Hunter are modern level characters, but you kind of have to judge them under the veil of, but they're going to be taking a lot of turns, so CG is kind of down compensating. They're kind of keeping the kit simple. I agree, and this is why I'm still kind of in wait and see mode.
For sure.
But the question that I've got hanging over my head, looking at Hunter, looking at Batcher, looking at the last two characters, is, for example, looking at CG and being like, tell me why I shouldn't put Echo on this squad. Do you have any idea how good Echo is as a character? Okay, but you're telling me Basher has to be here? Are you sure? Are you sure? Because Hunter's Duke is whatever to me. I think I light it a little bit colder than other people. It's a bit goofy to me that the damage happens before the protection disruption, but obviously they just don't want it to one shot something. But yeah, I'm just like, Again,
my initial takeaway is that it'll be about as impactful as Sears' Big Bonk, maybe slightly better, and that hasn't really seemed to pan out much for that team. I'm not saying it doesn't do damage. I'm just saying it's like, eh.
Yeah, it's like it'll be an effective percent health punish if you see a team that's like susceptible to that, I guess. But otherwise, it's just gonna feel like a Y-wing special most of the time.
Yeah, or significant, but rarely decisive.
Or it'll close somebody out who's like at half health, 3/4 health. That's the way I kind of look at it. Is like you frequently have those characters that are like 25% prot, 50% health, and you're just like, man, okay, you can just die now. Just go away.
Yeah.
That's how that reads to me, because that's how I use Seer on offense when I use her. Is it's like, all right, you're at like half health and like 10% protection. Seer's gonna bonk you off in like a turn, so I'll just let you sit there.
Yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, this team seems to flow around marked. So yeah, like one of these guys is going to say they don't function if the whole team isn't Bad Batch Mercenary, right? Like one of these, like to Fatal's point, to your point, Ted,
I think
feel like-
captive is the means by which they'll do that. Like there's going to be enough bonuses and stuff tucked into the next two kits passively, I'm sure, that will encourage the conclusion you just said. Yeah, but I think the core mechanic behind once you see the kit in its fullness and what captive may allow you to punch up into, like what Sasha was saying earlier, that I think captive is what you're meant to lean on, and yeah, you'll need all the new ones for that. We're all theorizing. We're all out in the woods.
Yeah.
So who knows? But anyways, guys, any other thoughts you wanted to tack on here on this character before we close out?
Yeah. I would just like to say that it is incredibly fucking annoying that they moved the bespoke datacron from the second to last tier to the last tier, forcing you to R5 plus Batcher and Omega, because there's going to be a lot of people who like 7-star their hunter and they're like, "Where's my datacron?" And then they get to the second to last tier and like, "Where's my datacron?" And then they're like, "Oh," and then they look at the last tier and they're like, "I have to R5 all. I didn't get the other two, so now I have to decide. I just spent on hunters, so now I have to spend on the other two." And I find that to be just incredibly. I just find it to be insidious. I find to be like this moving of the goalposts just feels very bad.
I would call it ingenuine. I don't have much to add because I didn't even realize until Dagger said something, because I've got the other two, so it's not even going to be an issue. I'll get the third. I don't have it. I'm not getting it right now. I'm not pushing for it. I'll get it, but I didn't even think about it. And we have, I guess, even with on Chromium, we have guildmates who commented. I was like, okay, so I'm just gonna get this. This is where the bespoke is at. But that I agree with Dagger on the goalpost. That's kind of a ingenuous thing of another way to move the marker.
It just feels really shitty. It just feels really shitty.
It feeling shitty is, I think, the exact term I would use from my own personal experience. I did not wail out on the others, and I was literally like in a Zoom meeting. This thing comes out. I'm like, oh, this is great. Bespoke crons can be so like OP. I got to make sure I grab that. I do it, but I have the other one sitting there at like 5 stars. And I get nowhere after I've wailed out on Hunter. So not happy. Not happy. I mean, self-inflicted. I should have read the fine print, but it's frustrating. It did feel... Yeah, the goalposts were different than what I had assumed, making an ass out of me, at least.
I know.
Yeah, and they didn't say it either. Like, at least they told us with Balin that the first time around he's having a cron, so make sure you get him, right? They gave us the heads up last time.
They did tell us that to complete the tiers in the beginning, you would need the characters to be at a certain level. They did not indicate anywhere that would be this way to get the bespoke. So just to call out, in the beginning they said that, but it's not fair that no one assumed that.
Yeah, because the bespoke crons for the Marquis have been at that second to last tier. So the moment you come to 7-star, you collect your data cron.
Right.
So I know I talked with like 3 people today, and I was one of the people. You can check the Chromium chat. I had mine like 30. I had to buy the last like 40 shards of the other 2. So I also was in this predicament. Now, granted, bought a vault, finished them both off, right? But it was still really, really fucking obnoxious to have to put additional investment into this team. Granted, I have it for this week, and I'm locked in with it for this week, so cool, I guess. But it cost me an extra vault to finish off 2 characters that I didn't...
It would have been good for them to call it out that for the bespoke.
Yeah.
They called it out that there was.
I wouldn't have wailed on this. I just wouldn't have wailed on this, basically.
It's the other option that you go for, and I'll leave it more to that, right? It's like, tell them in the beginning. You said we needed the characters. He's going to have a bespoke. If you want the bespoke, you'll need to also purchase these other 2. It gives them like, okay, I know up front. It's still true because to Sasha's point, and it really is, the bespoke has literally determined full GACs or something else because somebody got the right roles for the offense or whatever else. And it's like, well, that's how I lose. But you knew up front what you were getting. And so they should have done the same.
The bespoke isn't on high stats anymore, right? It's just a normal cron, I believe.
That's correct. That's correct. I did not know it at that point, but that certainly appears to be the case. They're both stats within the set and within the range provided by the set.
Yeah, effectively, bespoke datacrons are kind of dead, because I would also say that the level 9 seems kind of pretty mid, from what I can tell, or at least it doesn't read well to me. So, that's not to say that there won't be OP level 9s in the future, but the Balin Cron will be the end of, well, hopefully, so far.
Don't do it. Don't put it out there. Don't put it in the universe, Fatal. We know what happens when you put things in the universe. They can come back.
If I
It
had
can
to
come back.
forecast, I I think whether we go back to the Balin Great Mother's stat driven datacrons in the future is going to be played out by whatever purchasing data there is, less so from this season because there will be a number of people doing it regardless, but the next bespoke cron. If it really starts to drop off, then you get the scope creep greed, and then I could see a return. We'll see.
Yeah, I hear you. But yeah, for the moment, I don't think this is like much to be worried about getting or not getting.
Yeah.
Domo
I can
always
see where
sounds it's so illogical in retrospect, and yet is so dominating in the moment. But you're right, Fatal. You're totally right.
That's right. Correct me if I'm wrong here, guys. It feels like as you were reading the Gungan kits as they were being released, oh wow, some of this seems like individually powerful. And the team that you got in the end was very powerful and, certainly boosted to a crazy height by its bespoke. Maybe this one isn't as crazy, but the point is that by the time all the Gungans came out, it didn't feel like you had to have it up front.
The Gungans didn't have a bespoke cron, I don't think. Jar Jar came out like in an actual set, didn't he?
Maybe it did.
But the thing to remember is the level 9 is specifically mercenary only, right? So it literally can't even be for the entire Bad Batch. We're talking like a weird Balin level 9 thing.
Yeah, that was my assumption as well, that they are basically bridging that gap between, like, with Hunter being rolled out, making him compelling in the near term, and the one use that can potentially live up to its longer term potential is him sitting with the squad full of mercenaries. So,
Okay.
and that level 9 does read like has a mercenary bent compared to the rest of Hunter Mercenaries kit, which has some mercenary elements, but it's primarily focused on Bad Batch.
It feels a lot more like the Powcron.
Well, Palcron had the stats at the end of it. Like, what makes this so bizarre to me is like, okay, so this is releasing right as 5v5 is expiring. And so we're going into 3v3, where Balin doesn't necessarily need a 4th and 5th.
Yep.
And so then by the time that we're over into the net, I don't know. It's just you don't really need it by the time, like, you're probably going to have full batch anyway, even if you have the cron.
I wonder if there's going to be, near term, some other source of soldier of fortune through another Merc lead. I mean, it just feels like it's ripening up for that.
They did talk about expanding it, so there's potential.
Where can I view this level 9, first of all?
You can't, because it's not in game unless you have it.
Oh, okay.
But I can read it to you if you want.
You can still see it. If you go and look at the kit, you can see like the information for his 9, because I was able to read it.
Oh yeah, it says at the start of the encounter, Hunter Mercenary gains 30 speed and all other mercenary allies gain 10 speed for each mercenary ally till the end of the encounter. Hunter Mercenary is immune to ability block, cooldown increase, and turn meter reduction. If all allies are mercenaries, marked enemies deal 50% less damage. Whenever a marked enemy deals damage to a mercenary ally, dispel all buffs on that mercenary ally and recover 15% protection. Whenever Hunter evaded or resisted... Whenever Hunter Mercenary inflicts a marked on an enemy, which can't be dispelled, evaded or resisted, and call all mercenary allies with Soldier of Fortune to assist. Basically, this level 9 is just his mass assist tacked on to if they're all mercenaries.
So he is, yeah. Okay, so it's like, so the 9 itself is offering yet another mass assist condition, though?
Yeah.
So that's 3 in just his kit, and I think Sasha's absolutely...
No, 2 of them are independent, because one calls Bad Batch, and his level 9 calls mercenaries only. And only if they're all mercenary.
Oh.
So his level 9 is the mass assist is turned off if he has Bad Batch allies.
Got it.
That's how it reads.
All right.
Well, level 9 is literally a stopgap between now and when we get the rest of the Bad Batch.
It's exactly that. Yep. It's meant to tie this over because that makes sense. it's a while yet before the last two characters are out. And why else would you want to go for this Kron if you were expecting to use it with the full new team? So, okay. All right. Well, thanks, guys. Appreciate that. And yeah, we'll stay tuned as this team continues to be released character by character. See you in the next episode. And until next time, it's been real. It's been awesome. It's been real awesome. Take care.